activist, and Dave Smith, libertarian commentator and the host of Part of the Problem.
Etc. Why do you keep doing this? Why do you keep getting these grifters on that know nothing about the geopolitics, know nothing about the history? They don't know anything about the IRGC. Elicia Lebon does. I'm sorry, Elicia, that you felt so defeated after that interview.
So how can you speak out of both sides of your mouth saying that this type of oppression justifies not just military intervention, but terrorism? But you don't think anything should happen to you while you're doing this to your own people. And that's how you know it's a bluff. That's how you know it was never about Palestinian people. It was never about oppression. These are not people who care about oppression. These are the enforcers of oppression who weaponize oppression in order to gain legitimacy in their attacks on Israel.
This is what we keep telling you guys. Apart from a few times when Israel does some shitty things, the majority of it has been an anti-Semitic conspiracy to destroy Israel the whole time. Dave Smith is about to talk. Everybody, Dave Smith is about to talk, yeah? Let's give him all of our attention.
Very similar to yours. I thought there were a lot of reasonable things said up until that point. But of course, I think this isn't that uncommon. Regimes and supporters of regimes are often guilty of just the most outrageous hypocrisy. And you think of historical examples like Joseph Stalin used to put out propaganda about how horribly racist America was.
Mentioned Joseph Stalin there, Dave, because Joseph Stalin his regime was the one that started to make propaganda about how Zionism was this bad thing, right?
Exactly what a demoralized person would ask. How is this different to that? How is Israel doing this different to that? Now, let me just start by saying,
this is like a basic IQ test. I could say, how is this act different from this act? That's not saying how is this entity the identical.
You correctly pointed out what the Soviet Union was doing. You correctly pointed out that they would use these kernel of truths as part of their disinformation campaigns. But the question is, what were their disinformation campaigns rooted in? Well, we know what the entire, communist agenda was, and that was demoralization of the West. In order to sort of gain this traction internally within the West so that they...
That sort of level of like demoralization of living in the West, you then start to make false equivalences. So then you start to compare the actions of the IDF with the actions of a terrorist group like Hamas or Hezbollah.
Lady, let me just save you all the time in this debate. You wanted to debate me because I'm so wrong about everything and I'm so influential and you wanted to smack it down. It ain't gonna be you, lady. You're not the one who's gonna stop me. This is just ridiculous. Okay, I'll call you whatever. Okay, good one. Oh yeah, you really smacked down my bad ideas. Anyway,
and make military strikes as well. It just can't declare war.
Yeah, well, there's some debate about that amongst constitutional scholars, but yes, that refers to like an imminent threat, which by all accounts this wasn't. Now, listen, I don't want Iran to get a nuclear weapon. I think that everything that U.S. but basically all of U.S. and Israeli foreign policy seems to have been geared around incentivizing them to make one for about as long as I've been alive.
There's no moral equivalency. There are just some countries that should not have nukes. Nobody should have nukes, absolutely.
Really anything ideologically on, putting aside Gaza, putting aside everything else, purely on the apparently imminent threat. By imminent, I mean in the next few months, that the Iranians would have had an ability to weaponize their uranium quite quickly to 90% and potentially create up to 10 nuclear bombs, having assured the world they wouldn't do that. They are supporting and promoting every terror group going from Hezbollah to the Houthis to Hamas to destroy Israel. If you're Israel, why would you not preemptively strike?
Months away from developing nuclear weapons. Now, second of all, again, it's making these moral equivalencies between the United States or different countries or Israel or whoever having nuclear capabilities. What you're talking about here is a regime whose fundamental motto, its entire basis of existence, is death to Israel and death to the United States.
I'm not sure what the problem is with them taking out the nuclear facilities. They were precision strikes with minimal casualty. The IRGC attacked Israel, attacked people I know, suburbs, right? People, if they weren't in their bomb shelters, would have died. And people did die.
You're encouraging that, Sean. Why would you also not want to neutralise the nuclear sites?
Well, let me start. But it would have taken
Do
them
you
a
think
while
they
to
should have
figure
one?
out. My point.
Do you think Iran should have a nuclear bomb?
No, I don't think anybody should have nuclear weapons.
Right, but do you think in particular Iran should have one, given how much it supports terrorist groups?
Stand, among many other things, that Jewish people can also be anti-Semitic. Karl Marx, one of the originators of communism, Marxism, Karl Marx, was a Jewish anti-Semite. It's just like being a female misogynist. Some women are actually the biggest misogynists.
Killed and hanged, so long as in your fantasy world you're opposing